Hello everyone, welcome to the Seamlss demo for today. We're going to step through the process of utilizing Seamlss to simplify collecting and validating the data you get from your clients to make onboarding and re-engaging simpler. Who am I? I'm Clayton Wood, co-founder of Seamlss. I also run an accounting firm called Business Edge Advisors. We obviously built Seamlss because I had the exact same problem as everyone else. So here we are, making it happen for everyone, from ID checks to collecting data, collecting information, and signing engagement letters for you and for your clients to make onboarding and re-engaging a lot easier. So the question is, how are you doing it now otherwise? If you're not using Seamlss, you're probably doing it manually. You're possibly using PDFs, paper, or just not getting anything signed. I talked to a lot of firms where they're not even doing ID checks properly. They're doing it manually. They might be doing it via Zoom. They're obviously running through multiple different apps to make this happen. Sometimes it's a poor experience for the client to come from a lead position to onboarding through 3 or 4 different apps at a time to make that happen. I guess the key questions is, how many apps do you need? And who makes the decision on what apps to use? What happens if you don't solve this problem? Is it just going to keep going? Are you going to have a poor experience for the client? Or do you use something like Seamlss to make it easier and seamless for the client? We'll just jump straight in. We're going to go through leads. Today, we'll obviously get onto onboarding and then collecting data and information, agent linking as we go. But let's get kicked off with triage and lead management. So a lot of firms don't have much of a lead management process. That's where Seamlss can help. So if I click on the lead dashboard, here we are on the lead dashboard, and this is where we can manage them. So from the get-go, on the dashboard, I can edit the dashboard by selecting different columns. I can order them by when they were added, or perhaps it's who was won, who was lost, and then it'll obviously edit it. If I've got multiple different partners or people managing the leads, as partners managers, I might show them based on that. If I want to reset the display, I'll just reset the display. It's pretty straightforward. You can also search by tags and names and things like that to make it easy. Now, adding a lead, super easy. Just add their details in there, put their information in. You might put a description like, I met them at the networking night during the month. I might put a value of what I think this prospect's worth. Might put nothing. Where did I meet them? And then you might put different sources or different information in there. Tags can help with if there's certain things you might be prospecting that client for. The status is usually pending, and then we might assign it to a different partner and or a different manager. Click add, and then they'll get added to the dashboard. Once they're on the dashboard, that's when we might like to log an action call. So we might log an action and say, I bumped into Clayton down the street. He was keen on business planning. Going to assign it to Clayton. Whoops. And we'll give it a due date. Add the action. Now we've got an action in there, so we can track who, when, where, what. We might also send them a form to fill out so that they can fill out a form for us to assist in the onboarding. Now that's for firms that are really digging in and using leads and tracking the leads and following them up on a regular basis. Most firms, in my experience, will just use the lead links, and that is my #1 goal with most firms, is just start with something small. Some people are using tools like HubSpot and High Level, and they're building out all these landing pages, but most of us are that busy. We don't need to go down that level, but we do at least want to triage the clients. So I'm trying to remember the name of the options in my firm, but basically we have 2 different paths. One is for clients, potential clients and leads that are known, and we know that they're going to be a good lead, and we kind of don't need to triage them. There's someone we already want to interview and meet. So I may send them the lead link form, and it'll go to this page. So this form could be on my website. I could send it via email. If the client rings up, the admin team could just key the client's details straight in, and they'll get an email to get started on the process. You can edit this welcome note determine what form, whether it's one form or many forms to fill out, depending on the thing that you're trying to achieve. So going forward, some firms have asked, could they add some AML questions in there? So you could definitely have the lead form to triage the client, and you could definitely add in the AML questionnaire where you might ask a couple of questions to see where they lie with the risk on the AML aspect. On the landing page, once they finish, it says, thanks for coming. Now you can send them back to your homepage, or you can make them book in. In my firm, if they are a highly qualified lead, then the qualified lead would get a meeting straight with me, and that's not on the website. But if they're an unqualified lead, then they would book a meeting with Celeste, and Celeste would triage them out. So the meeting with Celeste is only 15 minutes. She's the practice administrator. She will take the call. She will go in, read the information that the lead has filled out, and then triage them from there. What's their turnover? What software are they using? Are they up to date with their taxes? Is this someone we want to work with? The questions in the form will help Celeste have a better conversation in that 15 minutes to determine whether they get a meeting with me as the accountant, managing partner, whatever it is you want to call it. But I will then be able to have a good meeting because I know that this is someone worth meeting. If they are unqualified, it also gives Celeste the opportunity to say, hey, we don't think you're a good fit for us. We think you should go down the road to someone else. If they are a great fit, she can also position that next conversation as the stepping stone to onboarding with Business Edge advisors. So from that position, you can kind of see that they've gone from click on the link, filling out the form to becoming a lead, and then we might want to onboard them or log the actions and calls. So Celeste would be logging the action and the calls. And then from there, if I have successfully persuaded them to come on board with us, and I think they're a good lead, we will send them a quote or an outline or the next steps, and or we'll onboard them as a client. From this point, we'll be able to add entities, do ID checks, send an engagement letter. On the flip side, that's managing and triaging leads. The next step is we just want to be able to onboard clients. So some firms don't use the leads. They are busy enough. They don't really need to triage. They will take any client with a heartbeat and a wallet. And that is fine too. You do you. And at the end of the day, we want to make the process of adding a client really, really easy. So to add a client to Seamlss, if we started on the dashboard, we'd simply click new client request, then key in the information here. Now we've recently updated this to have a few more steps in the process to make it easier because of the future things that we're rolling out. So as a part of the recipient name will be Holly. We'll give it a name. So this is the contact details. Whoops, Holly. And then we'll have last name, days, and then the email. So she needs an email. Everyone needs a unique email and phone number. We'll add that in there. And then you can see that from this, it's already added the individual for us. Now, if they weren't going to come on as an individual, we could just uncheck that box. In this case, I want to get Holly's details. I want to get her tax file numbers and all that sort of information and go from there. As a part of the next step, we might want to add different entities and things like that. So let's add a company. In this case, let's call it the Bread Bakers. And then we'll add that company. I'm done. I don't need to add another company. I'm just going to go to next, and then we're going to fill out the request. So from here, we're going to build out the request on what we want. We want to add the individual Holly, and we also want to add the company. So we want Holly as the contact to fill out the individual details and the company information. Now we're also going to add in some fetch forms. So we might want some financial statement information for the bread bakers. Bread baker. And then on the flip side, maybe we're also going to do Holly's tax return. So get some tax return information from Holly as well. Add that in there. And there's all sorts of different forms from FBT, rental properties, whatever it is you need. A lot of these, I'll come back to that. They are in the system as templates. Now, we recommend Stripe DVS. It is $5. It does a biometric check and check their license and all that sort of stuff for you. And it comes back with a little checkbox. Makes life a lot easier. Because I'm using the camera, I'm just going to use the source method today, uploading more information. Now, the difference is that this takes a lot more time for your admin team to check and validate against the ATO. So I'll add that request in there. Now there's a lot of checks and questions about AML. That will be coming underneath here, so you can do additional AML checks while onboarding at the same time. If I was sending out a form from this section to Holly to fill out her husband's, I could add that in again for the husband's details in here, but it's only Holly that's going to be filling it out. We will enable multi-sending requests in one go soon, where you'll be able to send it to Holly and her husband another contact later where they can fill out their additional information. The ITR form section. This bit here. No, it'll just be the one ITR form for that client. So if I add in the ITR form, it's like an online tax return form. I'll add that in there as well, just for today's explanation. But yes, you can add one, but that's just for them. In addition to that, we're going to add in the engagement letter. Now, you might have one engagement letter template or many. In this case, I'm going to use the Seamlss one, and we're going to edit it, and we're going to customize it just for this client. Now, you could delete different things out, or you can add in different services or whatever it is you want to do for your engagement letter. That will customize it just for this client. I'm going to add that to the request, and then I'm going to go next. Now you can see that I've built out the request. This is the checking page. Are you able to add additional individuals to the group and the information request? Not yet. We did have that in the initial update, but we had to pull it back due to the issues and people couldn't follow the flow. So we're trying to make it easier, but it will come back that you can send multiple contacts to multiple people, Madison. So for now, it's just Holly Days, and then we're going to deploy a job at the same time. So because Holly's not in our XPM, we have to match them up. So if I create a match, this is a new individual. If I create that, and then same with the bread bakers, they're going to be a new entity in my firm. So now you can see that it's created a client skeleton in XPM that we can utilize, and we can set the job details. So here they are both in as ready to deploy. Now, some firms deploy one job per group or many jobs as a part of that process. So I'm going to use my templates here, and we'll do a tax return, 2025 tax return for Holly, give it a budget, select compliance, done. Now, on the other side, it might be business advice or something like that. Let's just we'll do annual accounts, 2025 annual accounts. Obviously, you can edit this to suit yourself ongoing. We might set a budget at $1,500, done. This is the thing, if you're doing one job per firm, one job per deployment, then you might just select that one person. But if you want multiple jobs, you can definitely select more jobs per entity if you want to. So in this case, I could deploy a job for tax planning as well at the same time. And maybe that's $500. And then obviously I've got the different categories that I'm selecting from here. I might put on due dates and things as well at the same time. The next step is, do I want to deploy the job now or upon completion? So I recommend now, because that way, if the admin are adding any time, they can add time to the job once it's deployed. Let's save that. We'll select our welcome email. Now, if I didn't want to send the request to the client via Seamlss, I could copy the link from the next screen. So I could just unclick that. I recommend sending it from Seamlss, select the welcome message. The optional message just allows you to tack on a little bit of extra information. You'll see in my email in a second. And then we'll send the request off. This is the link that I'm talking about that you can copy. So you can copy that link and put in your own email if you wanted to send it via your own email. We'll mark that off as done. I'm going to the client email now. And I've already received my welcome email as Holly. So Holly has received the welcome email. Here's my optional message that I talked about. It's been tacked onto the bottom of the email. And I'm going to view the request and get this process started. So get the code, and we'll enter the code in. So Seamlss uses a secure link to get to this screen, and then we use MFA at all times to log into the app. It's passwordless, but it's all multi-factor secure to keep everything secure ongoing, not just a magic link, because we are dealing with very sensitive data in tax file numbers and stuff all the time. Now, this is all the information that goes on the front cover of tax return. So this is the form. It works on mobile phones. Most clients use Seamlss on a mobile phone. Now you can mark things as required, as you can see here. I do recommend that you make date of birth required, because that way you can add them to the portal. If they don't key it in, you can't do much about it. It will look up the address on Google, making it a lot easier. I'm very slack. I used to use the same postal address. TFNs do get validated as well, so it will need to be a valid TFN, and same with director IDs need to be 10 digits. Put in my bank account, and the bank BSBs also get validated. Now, BSBs and bank accounts, it is recommended that they're required, because again, this is another touch point. You can verify a client against the ATO portal. Then we'll look up the the bread bakers on the ABR lookup, and we'll pull that information in straight from there. So it was this one, and then we'll add it there. Pulls in the ABN, ACN, and the business name. We can add phone numbers, email addresses, and websites if we want to collect that data at the same time. Again, I could search for the address on Google, or I can just use one of the pre-populated ones from the request that I've used earlier. Let's save one, and then TFNs all get validated. This could be a non-trading trustee company, so therefore the client can check it, and you can see that the required button disappears. But in this case, I'm going to continue on. So we'll save that. Now we're on to the fetch form. So these two forms were the forms of front cover data that goes to the XPM when we push it there, and that's the front cover of the tax return. Now we're asking for the information to complete Holly's tax return. So we want to step through that process. I'll just get some files that I can upload. So the client might drag and drop one or many. If they're on their phone, they may just take photos and or upload documents. And then we'll continue on. Hopefully you're getting the idea, I'm assuming. For this example, it's a tax return. So maybe they've got interest and they say yes, then they can upload their interest documents. You could edit that to be key in data. Maybe they've got dividends. We want dividend statements to verify what they're saying. Maybe they've got crypto, and we'll upload a crypto statement. Otherwise, it's saving as it goes, and they can just say yes or no. In this case, if they obviously say yes, it asks for more information. If not, it doesn't. And then we'll just keep going through. Click no, no, no. Is there anything we missed? Yep. Here's your VAS statement. Thanks for coming. Save and continue. Now, that was a fetch form, and it's a simplified measure to collect tax return information. On the flip side, this is the online tax return ITR tool style, where it dynamically changes based on the questions that the client asks. So if they're an accountant, and I could spell, accountant, clumsy thumbsy, oh, I'm really winning here today. Accountant, it will look up all the different ANSIC codes for a tax return that goes through to zero tax and tools like that. If they're Australian citizen, then I'll ask for the visa types that they've got. All of the information that you kind of utilize to fill out a tax return to assist in doing a tax return. With the pre-fill, maybe they don't agree with the pre-fill, so they can say, nah, the dividends are always wrong. So salary and wages, this is the part that you can edit in the online tax return form. So we know that salary and wages generally comes through the pre-fill, so you could actually hide this question in the settings. But if they do have one, they could upload and edit it. I recommend just hiding it. It's unlikely they're going to get salary and wages and not on the pre-fill. It probably kind of just adds to the client's unsureness of whether they're going to key that in from somewhere. So skipping it makes clients a lot easier. Same with interest. If there is extra interest, you can ask for that later, or hopefully they'll upload it at the end. But example with dividends, they might get CBA and they've got $1,500 worth of dividends, and maybe they upload a document here to back that up, or they add another one, because you can add one and many as a client doing this. So I'll save that. Maybe they've got a rental property and they can key in all their rental property information for you. Sole traders, they can upload a CSV or something simple like that to keep sole trader really, really simple. Excuse me. And then we'll continue on. Vehicles. So leave the vehicle option. You put in your work description. Obviously, it's going to and from work, and we have 5,000 Ks because I travel to and from work and I get 5,000 Ks. But if they select logbook, it'll ask for more questions. But the idea is that we want to ask enough questions to get enough information to do the tax return. Could be all of them are designed to make the accountant's life easier, asking basic information from the client where where we can take that data and put it straight in the tax return. It would be nice if we could just copy and paste it into the tax return, but yeah. Continue. Family and health, are there dependents? Yes, I've got 5. Do you have a spouse? Yes or no, they can answer that question. Obviously, everything is dynamically changing based on the way that they answer. We'll give them more options. Again, on this last screen, you can actually hide and show these settings. So when do they want it completed by? I want it completed today. Maybe they put some other information in, or maybe they find some information that wasn't on the request. They could add their own data. The substantiation, declaration, or fee from refund, you can turn them on or off. I recommend leaving the substantiation on for sure. This is much the same as them just saying, yes, I've got all my receipts and information. Save and finish. They're going to do it when they do their tax return anyway. Now I'm on to the ID checks. So see the ID verification guide. There's a guide here. Can also talk about what items we can utilize to help identify the client. I'm going to upload my license there. But other documents that you utilize would be their bank details and a note of assessment or BAS statement, something like that with a document ID on it. So let's upload something that might have a document ID. Now we are at the end where the client can either go back and edit the answers or add another entity or continue on and sign. So in this case, I'm going to continue on and sign. The client might click on the information and show the TPB guide with one of those things you've got to shine. But you can see also that I customize the engagement letter. So you can custom every single time. Most clients are just going to click and sign. They could draw their signature if they wanted to. Personally, I just like to type it in. We're complete. We're done. So from the client's experience, really straightforward from putting in their details, collecting extra information, doing the ID check, and signing the engagement letter. Here we are at the last screen. They can go to their client area, download the documents, or do the client agent linking. Client agent linking, super important. We all know that. Step by step, do you have my ID? And if they say no, it'll step them through the process. Ring the ATO, get strong, harass them, not us. We're busy. Next, MyGov ID. You got that? Nope. Then the next step would go through and say, here's your entity. Can you please add that? Attach it, step-by-step guide. Yep, I've done that. Thanks for coming. Finally, the nominate my agent. Now, most people will just go, yes, yes, nominate agent. It's just a quick yes, no questions. Here's my agent details, step-by-step guide. And then finally at the end, they can check and confirm that. Now, if they check and confirm, I've done that, you will receive a notification that says Clayton Stays Agent Linking, go and add him to the ATO portal. Not all clients receive the Clayton Agent Linking. Yeah, if you are just an individual, you won't have to do agent linking, so you don't get shown the agent linking. If they have an entity in the request, the agent linking will be shown. So the idea is that this section only shows if you've got an entity in the request, because if there's no entity, there's no need for agent linking. We can add individuals to the ATO portal whenever we need. Now, if we go into the client area, it'll show their current documents, forms, all the forms that I've sent, and we've just added a new tab for outstanding requests. So their outstanding requests, if they do log into their own portal space, it'll just show here as their outstanding request, segregating it out, making it easier for the clients, and that'd be easier. They can also send you a document if they want. If they had a document in the portal and they just wanted to send you something, there is the option for them to log in and send you documents. I'm going to sign out of Holly, remove that, and clean up my email. We might use that email address again. I will finish off the questionnaire here. So if I refresh the screen, go back to my dashboard, so we can send SMS and email reminders. We can edit the request. So if you've sent a request, you can actually edit the request on the fly and add more details to it later. Duplicate or cancel. This one that I just did for Holly has been finished, so I can mark it off as complete. In the coming weeks, you'll actually see some additional options here with buttons. The goal is to make it so that you can basically onboard the client from this screen. Either sync to XPM, download the documents, or do the ID verification and or AML. So expect this screen to improve again soon. If I open up Holly and the entity, I'll be able to complete the process. So here is Holly, and I can also see my connected entities on the right here, her as an individual or the company. So as I said, Holly is a contact. That is the person that we're going to do the ID check on. So we'll review the document. Here is the license. Clearly it looks like a Holly. What did they send? How did they send it? And it was good, and we're going to delete the document. You've only got 14 days to do these documents. Now, that is a good way just to check if that looks like the person you met. Otherwise, you really ideally want to be getting document IDs and verifying that against the ATO, getting a note of assessment or activity statement or some sort of correspondence number that you've verified and what you've verified, and checking the bank details match as well. Then we've got the details of who, what, where, when, and how that we did the verification. The forms, so we can download all the forms and all the files. That will just download them all as a big old zip file. Otherwise, we can download them singly and view the answers. We can also generate the documents here to view those documents as well if we want to get them. There's all the tax return information, the files and the answers that we can utilize as a bit of a work paper. All the requests are in here, so we can also see and send reminders from this client contact area now. You can also add notes. So adding notes, waiting on ethical clearance, save. So you can have your own notes to track along. All the history and information is also within the audit history there. They go into the entity. So we sync entities, not clients, not contacts. So we're going to push the entity to XPM. So that will sync it up. It's found the skeleton that I talked about. So if that wasn't in there, it would actually look up XPM, see if we can find a match. This is what's in Seamlss, and this is what's in XPM. So we can sync and do nothing. We can push, we can pull, all these different attributes. But if I just want to sync and merge to XPM, the TFN already exists. I really need to get some other dummy TFNs, but if the TFN, it would just push in, but I'm using the same TFNs for all my demos, so therefore it doesn't work. I'm sorry. But once they're in there, then you'll be able to view and sync them in XPM. Again, the information will be within Holly. From there, you can also generate the company documents, which will outline all the TFNs and ABNs and stuff for the company. Now that I'm onboarded and engaged, we can mark it off as done. I will just check the comments. Is it possible existing comments to XPM, export existing clients from XPM with the existing data in Seamlss? You can sync the clients to XPM using the sync button. You can also export all your clients from the data center. We'll come to that later. Do we need to punch it in again? So if you've sent the request to a client, you can edit the client's information once it's been sent. So if you find the client and you said, okay, I'm going to send this request off, you can actually edit the information and key the information in before the client does. If you've got a little bit of information, so if you've got an ABN or an ACN or something like that, you can actually pre-key that in to help the client to speed up their process. Automatic reminders are coming. It's in the process now with the team. Stripe ID method, who pays, the accounting firm pays for the Stripe ID. Same with the AML checks. As they roll out next week, you'll be able to send out AML checks, and at the end of the month, we'll issue an invoice. I've ended up with a lot of duplicate entities in Seamlss since the last update. Is there any way to merge them? I think, Teresa, if you need some help there, reach out to Daniel and get him to assist with that option there. So from here, we've now got the client onboarded, engaged. We've deployed the jobs to XPM. So the next one would be, if we're doing this on a re-engagement process, we would simply find the client. So if I find Holly, click on holidays as a contact, and then I might want to do something with her. So if I do new request, new client request. So if it was July, and Celeste was like, come call in Holly's job. You can see that all the entities and stuff are there now listed. I've added her by clicking on the contact and searching for it. Here are the entities I want to add to the request. And the data I can request via the forms. I can do an ITR form again. I'd probably skip the ID check, and I can add another engagement letter. And then we can send the request. When the client gets the request, it will ask them to check the details and confirm that they are correct. Next, and then obviously Holly will be able to confirm the details, give us documents, sign the engagement letter, deploy the job, and start that whole request. Now, if someone was building the requests and not actually sending them, you could get someone to build them out, and someone else could come in here, edit and check, and then send them and finish them off. Yes, the recording will be sent, Joe. So how do you send stuff securely to the client's portal? That's the InstaFetch and InstaSend. So at the end of a job in the work paper, usually there's a couple of quick questions. I don't really want to write out a whole form, but I may want to send Holly just a couple of quick questions. So how much stock on hand? I need your CBA, bank statements. And to be honest, you're probably not going to type these out. You'd probably copy and paste them from the work paper. And I need your statement number. Done. If I wanted to add a little bit more context, I could add a title and a description. And then I will just simply send it. That will send Holly a request. She can click on that, answer the questions, and then I can finish the job off. Then the next one would be InstaSend. So if I want to InstaSend a question, it'll be the same thing. Holly has finished a tax return, and it's now at the end of the financial year, and we've done the tax return, we've got the answers, and we want the note of assessment. So here is your 2025 note of assessment and or payment slip. Whatever it is you want to upload, it's one document time, or you can add multiple documents to the same InstaSend request. Send. Done. Again, I could copy that request and send it from my email, or Seamlss has just sent it out. So that's why we want to use the documents securely, to get them, collect them through Seamlss and send them. Now, in saying that, we've sent Holly these two requests, so she can get the answers for the InstaFetch if she wants to get it. But more than anything, InstaFetch is now on the dashboard. We can manage it and control it. It's not stuck in someone's email, so therefore we can answer the responses to the questions. Just the next step. Agent linking, I think I've covered that enough. If there's any questions around agent linking, give us a buzz. But basically, if we want to send a reminder, so maybe Holly was a bit slack. Let's go into her entity. And then, where do I send the agent linking reminder? I forget now.
Bottom right.
Where is it?
On the right side, on the bottom, slow down.
Oh, there, update status. Sorry, there it is. Click on update status, and then I update it, and now it's done. Yes, that's that. Next, the smart links. This is probably the biggest thing that I think most people should be looking at, is the smart link creation tool. If we go to clients and we go to client links, there is a whole guide here outlining that. I will update it based on the new processes, but it's pretty much the same. The idea is we want to add links and build it out, and build out the ones that suit your firm. So you can see here, I've got a number of variations of tasks that we do within a firm. So if I've got an annual accounts meeting, we might attach this link to the email and get the client to fill out the form. If I'm doing tax planning, I might email this link and get the client to complete the form. FBT, I did a webinar on that a couple of weeks ago, and there's a whole blog post on it where you can send the client the FBT form. So in this case, I want some information. They get a landing page. I want some information on the entities or not. I don't need an ID check. I just want the FBT form filled out. Maybe I have an FBT engagement letter as well. And then I can now send that link off. In that case, the client will click on the link and then that was a bad example. Come back to this one. That's the one I just did. So now it's saying, please fill out this form. So it's just a link. You can include it anywhere. Basically, once the client fills it in, that will kick off the request. They get the code and then they log in and fill out the form. Next would be where am I up to? Ignition onboarding example. A lot of firms use practice ignition. Ignition. If you're using Ignition, you can utilize the client smart link to assist the onboarding. So basically, once the client signs the Ignition proposal and then gets to the next steps, they can get sent this link or click on the link in the next steps to start the process. So we want to get their client information and we want the ID check. We don't really need any forms and we don't need an engagement letter. They just signed an Ignition, so we can skip that step. But basically, that form can go on any Ignition next steps proposal. If you were doing next steps, you could also attach the similar stuff to FBT where they pay for the FBT and then they start the FBT form. That is the basic of smart links, but hopefully you get the idea that if we send these links out, we can get processes started automatically by clients. So we could send out an online tax return one where they fill out tax return information. We can put them on our website. We can put them anywhere. They're just a link. You could turn it into a QR code and put it on your front desk if you wanted to. That is why you use the smart links, because it can auto create a request just from the link itself. Here's some examples of why you might use them, from marketing, payment integrations like Ignition and Stripe, to using Zapier to automate some of this process. I've talked about pushing to XPM, so you see me sync that. You can also sync to tools like FYI, SharePoint, Dropbox. The other one that everybody uses, it's in the list. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Suite files. Everybody uses Suite files as well. But there's a bunch of different integrations in there that you can utilize, including Zapier to automate some stuff if you're into that. Now, we talked about it's passwordless, but everything is 2FA, MFA. You cannot do anything without it. It's all hosted data in Australia. We don't email sensitive data. We have an audit history to check everything. If I come back here, we'll do an ethical clearance. Back to the InstaFetch. All the data info trail, where does it get stored eventually in the context of a single source of truth? InstaFetch data would go back to the client, and any history around that would still be connected to the contact, So the contact is the single source of truth of where that data would go between. Can we get these templates, client links that you have on your system? I'll have to ask Daniel about that and see whether we can make that an option to pull in templates. It's definitely on something that I want to enable to make it easier, so you can just have ones that we've made for you. That's Daniel responding. Cool. Let's go back. Ethical clearance. So if I want to add an ethical clearance, I'll put in the firm name. So I might put in Business Edge Advisors, and then I will need an email. And you can use a phone number, you don't have to, but usually with most firms, there's the accountant that the client told you, and there's probably a admin email where you want that person that does the job. But we might also put in the client's details here. So I'll put in holidays. Next, put in the name. Now we can also get the TFN from the other firm if the client couldn't get it. Let's put in the company and the Baker Boys. Next. Now, this is the summary screen. You might find that you want to upload your ethical clearance letter. So think like this with your letterhead and your signature and your information there. The admin team, for me, they'll just drag and drop that and then send off the request. And from there, the other firm can log in with MFA and give you information. So if I've sent the request, they may say, refresh the screen maybe. So if I go, here's a pending one. So this one hasn't got much information, but it's sort of saying, giving me some information about what's approved, what's not approved. One that has been completed, it's got all of the files and information they've given me. They've given me the tax file number for this client, so I can utilize all that information when onboarding the ethical clearance process through the clients. Now, the flip side, if I want to offboard, I can send ethical clearance to another firm through Seamlss, so I'm not sending sensitive documents through email. Forms, there is a bunch of different forms. You can edit, duplicate. You can also build your own forms. There is a lot of different templates that we're going through there. My favorite ones are usually the questionnaires for the clients around FBT, tax planning, tax returns, rental properties, and lead management. Templates is where you can edit your documents, engagement letters, you can add one or you can have many. Settings, you've seen me touch on that briefly. The main thing I want you to get out of settings is this section here. I do recommend date of birth as required because we need date of birth and TFN to add to the ATO portal. I don't recommend bank details for entities because they do the agent linking and then we can get the bank details from the ATO if they don't actually key it in. TFN is required. I recommend that. Lock your bank details. That means that any staff member roles, in order to change a bank account, they have to request it from the client. My tax agent details. This is the ITR form. So if you're using the ITR form, the online tax return tool, this is what I was saying about you can edit the description, you could disable the questions and or hide them if you're like, no, I'm not dealing with crypto. The vehicle, if you thought, oh, the vehicle's too complicated, I could hide that and disable that question. Like I said, I recommend hiding the salary and wages ones. Obviously, I'm doing a demo, so I'm going to leave it there. You may not do fee from refund, so you may disable fee from refund. You may not like the substantiation declaration. You could change the name and or the declaration terms and conditions. There is a few tokens you can utilize there as well. Verification, some firms don't use the Stripe, so you can hide that as well. Next, integrations, obviously connect up your XPM users. You can have admin users that can access all of the templates and editing, or you can just have the staff members that can action and send requests. Recommend having all the notifications on. I recommend the notifications go to a generic email like info@ or team@ or mail@, because that way multiple people are probably getting that email and multiple people can action it. Data centers where you can import data from XPM, or you can export your clients to other apps via CSV. Your contacts can also be exported. Leads can be exported. A lot of people will export the leads and then triage them through that process for reporting. Reports, you can view how many requests you've sent, see how you're going with that, how many clients, how many groups, how many requests, how many identity checks, how many leads. There's a bunch of different reports in there. Setup-wise, you can set up Seamlss yourself. It's not that difficult, but if you want some help, you can definitely reach out to us to assist. You'll see the Compliance Hub. We haven't made too many updates for a bit here, but in the next week or so, you'll see more AML updates on the way. The AML updates are coming, and I'm going to launch a AML webinar for next week as a demo in AML using Seamlss. Really excited for that one. The dashboard speaks for itself. We talked about that. I think I've covered everything. If you need help and support, there is a help guide button here. Open that, access the help to assist. You can search the help guides if you know the words, or you can just go through the different sections that we've got there within the app. If you want some support, click on feedback and support to send a support ticket. Account and billing is there as well. Next, it's only $600 a year. So the annual price starts at $600 a year for most firms. $600, you get your 1,200 requests. What does 1,200 requests look like? One request could be Clayton. He's 5 entities and engagement letter. That's still just one request. I will note that in top of that is your AML costs, and Stripe identity and things like that will cost additional money. Now, if you want to do monthly, it's $60 a month for 100 requests. If you're like my firm, though, you are quite lumpy. We have a lot more requests at the start of the year and a lot less. So we tend to use more than 100 in July, August, and less at the end of the year. So we subscribe to the annual plan because it makes life a lot easier. Implementation, if you want some help with implementation, you can definitely reach out for us and the team to assist with that. If you've got some questions or you're on the fence, let us know why. Questions, I will answer as many as I possibly can. Appreciate everyone's time though, and thank you for joining the webinar. I will answer the questions.